All right, y'all have been patient enough. I know I've been patient enough. It is definitely time that we got back to reviewing TVs, and we're gonna do that right now, starting with the TCL QM8K. How about we have some fun? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and this is CalebRated. So, I've been sitting on this TV review for almost 3 months now, and it's been driving me absolutely crazy. But now, I'm kind of glad that I had to wait. See, my whole perspective on this TV has shifted since I've seen the new QM9K, but perhaps not in the way that you might think. Honestly, I think more than just a few of you might have been misled for a bit, thinking that the QM8K was TCL's flagship TV for 2025. It is technically not the 2025 flagship. That distinction goes to the recently announced QM9K, which, by the way, is an even more incredible TV than this one, which, if all has gone to plan for TCL, the QM9K has hit store shelves right around the time that this video has come out. It has definitely hit my doorstep, and I can't wait to get it. But let me just spill the tea right now. Most of you don't need the QM9K. I'm gonna come right out and say it right here, right now. Buy the QM8K if you have the means to do so. Oh, and if you want a bigger size, but can't afford that bigger size in the QM8K, step it down to the QM7K. That is the cheat code. You will not be disappointed with that model. Now, I say all that because although the QM8K may not technically be TCL's flagship, I think it's the best choice for most enthusiasts. In fact, I'll go ahead and play into TCL's marketing a little bit here and recognize it as the ultimate choice in TCL's lineup. Excuse me, I keep getting that wrong. What I meant to say is it's the ultimate choice. Woo! Yikes, I gotta stop doing that. That means the QM9K, the step up from this TV that we're reviewing today, is, according to TCL, the ultimate picture option. But that shift in ultimateness, it comes with a bit of a smack in the face when it comes to the law of diminishing returns. Now, eagle-eyed nitpickers might see some improvements, but honestly, most folks won't see the benefits of the QM9K over the QM8K and will therefore have a very difficult time understanding the price jump from the 8 to the 9. So do yourself a favor, take your TV envy and toss it. You don't need it. Not here. Guys, the QM8K is so fun. It is so satisfying in so many ways. You know what it is? It's the modern day equivalent of TCL's original 6 series for me. Like that OG TCL 6 series, the QM8K has me saying, damn, you're gonna give me all of that for how much? Now, if you're not a TV nerd and into TV history, that TCL 6 series from back in the day is the model that I think really put TCL on the map. Nobody saw it coming. But these days, TCL commands a generous amount of surface area on that map. And the QM8K is an excellent example of why. It combines great design and user touch points with excellent picture quality, both subjectively and objectively measured. And it's priced way lower than it could be, thus delivering a knockout blow for which you will be pleased to pay, I assure you. Now, just to put the pricing into perspective, if you click the link that I have for this TV down in the description of this video, not only will you be supporting the channel, thank you very much, but you'll see that the 65-inch model of the QM8K goes for about $1,500. The 65-inch Sony Bravia 9 runs about $2,700, as does the LG G5 OLED, and that's about $1,200 savings for some very competitive performance. Now I gotta show you what I mean. Okay, so starting with design, here is your remote, and I am happy to step away from the black remote and do the faux metal silver thing. It's light, so you're not gonna be fooled into thinking that it's actually got a metal case, but it looks and feels just fine in your hand. And also, it's got the right amount of buttons, at least for me it does. And though it's hard to see in the light, it is backlit, which for me is absolutely essential. I need a backlit remote. Next, we're rocking a centralized pedestal stand all the way up to the 85-incher here. And I appreciate that choice because it is stable enough and allows the TV to fit on smaller entertainment stands, just like the one that I have here from Monoprice. Although I do intend to change this up at some point. BDI, you listening, or any other premium furniture maker, please email me if you want to partner up at sales@CalebRated.com. Thank you very much. Anyway, as for cable management, we have some. It's fine. It's better than a lot of other TVs that I've tested. I'll give it a pass on the cable management area. You just route cables down at the top of the pedestal stand and out toward the bottom. I think you can do maybe 3 HDMI cables of reasonable girth through that hole. Moving on, we have a slim metallic bezel, and look closely, there's no black matrix around the screen. I like that. In theory, anyway. We'll see how it is in practice shortly. Now, normally I do the audio stuff here, but I'm gonna get to that audio stuff shortly. Right now, I wanna focus on TCL's user interface, which it has customized over Google TV. Guys, I am so here for it. I really am. You know what does it for me? It's this new control ribbon. That's what I'm gonna call it. TCL can call it whatever they want. I'm calling it a control ribbon. And to get to it, you don't press the settings cog icon like you normally would. That'll actually take you to the full settings menu that you're familiar with if you use Google TV much. Instead, you press the 3 lines or the hamburger or the sandwich button, if you will. Love a good sandwich. And then you get TCL's new ribbon. And there's so much here already with the ability to further customize it. All the stuff you might need to access frequently and quickly as you're watching TV, it's right here, including some options that I didn't expect, like the fact that you can add an external subwoofer to augment the TV's onboard sound, or a quick way to turn HDMI CEC on or off when it's driving you absolutely insane because it so rarely works. There is a ton here. And you can order it however you want, probably from most often accessed to least often accessed. I also like that you can quickly get at the eco settings here, so they aren't buried like they so often are on other platforms. Anyway, aside from the brisk setup and intuitive navigation that you tend to get from Google TV, assuming you have a Google account anyway, I like that TCL has done something to make Google TV their own, and it's actually useful stuff, not just fluff or stuff for showing off. This stuff actually counts, folks. In fact, I think that it counts for more than picture quality to a lot of people. So I'm not just gonna glaze over it. I don't care how good the picture is. If your TV pisses you off when you're trying to use it, you aren't gonna love using your TV. TCL's TVs are easy to love. Right about now is also when I have to mention that Google's Gemini AI will be coming to this TV. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. We did some demonstrations around that in a prior video. Here's a link to that over my left shoulder, I think. Hope so. Anyway, check that out if you want, and then we can have an argument about how your TV isn't spying on you any more than any other device that you own, and about how you can prevent most of that anyway. Oh, and before we move on from ease of use, a quick reminder that TCL's premium TVs do 4K up to 144 Hertz through 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, and that the eARC port is not shared with one of those HDMI 2.1 ports. So you'll have no issues doing both an Xbox and PS5 with this TV, or you could toss a gaming PC in there. That's the only way you're going to utilize 144 Hertz anyway. You get 2 full bandwidth ports to play with and the ability to run eARC out to your soundbar or receiver or AV processor. Now, I know it's really common to continue complaining about TVs that only have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports. I have yet to see a real use case in which that is a major problem for most folks. I know it seems like TCL should just flip a switch and have 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. So should Sony. So should Hisense. You know why they don't? Because they don't necessarily make the boards that have the HDMI ports in them, and in order for their software to work well on their SoCs, there's just a compatibility issue. We will get there really soon, I hope, but don't blame the TV manufacturers. We have to blame the supplier that needs to get up to speed. Because yeah, I'm tired of complaining about it too. Now, about that picture quality. Well, it's pretty stellar. Out of the box, could use a little help. I think most folks are gonna love it without touching a thing, but the thing is, you should touch this TV because a little tweaking can make the picture deadly close to accurate. But if all you ever do is pick the filmmaker mode picture preset, I think you'll be in great shape. To add some objective context to those claims, let's dig into some data in a segment I like to call, dude, you sure we can't go with my name? Y'all, Zeke thinks my idea sounds like a 14-year-old wrote it, and I mean, he's not wrong. So for now, we're gonna go with, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. But stick around for the end, for the outtakes. Maybe you'll see mine. Anyway, and hey, if you aren't into the nerdy measurement stuff, no problem. Skip ahead. We've got time codes down in the description below for you. So here's what happened when I took a Portrait Display C6 HDR5000, a Calibrite Pro HL, Meridio 7G8K pattern generator, and Calman Ultimate software to the TCL QM8K. In filmmaker mode, I always use filmmaker mode because it's usually the most accurate, although TCL's movie mode may have been the better choice here. But in the default filmmaker mode, SDR, the setting there had brightness set at about 30 out of 110 increments. Really low, right? I got about 250 nits out of the default filmmaker mode SDR setting. In filmmaker mode HDR, again, no tweaks, just the default settings, I got 3,500 nits from a 10% window and 850 nits or so, a little bit more, out of a full field white screen. Now, obviously you can turn up the SDR brightness from 30 to 100 and it'll blast you out of the room. I'm not kidding, this TV is insanely bright. I'm just showcasing here that the filmmaker mode preset that TCL implemented follows the intention of filmmaker mode. 250 nits is about right. And you know, while we're talking about brightness, we're gonna have to do a quick side quest here. So I'm gonna do a full video on this soon, but I think we need to talk about manufacturer claims over peak brightness versus reality and what it all really means. First, I need you to know that this TV can put out 5,000 nits of brightness. I mean, if you stand on your head with one hand in a bucket of organic honey from the Netherlands and your other hand is stirring a pot of vegan sausage gravy, all on a Tuesday night with a full moon. Yes, it will put out 5,000 nits in those conditions. In real world content though, you ain't getting 5,000 nits, ever. Partially because this TV needs very specific conditions that don't match reality at all. And partly because you'll never watch content that is mastered up to 5,000 nits or includes a 5,000 nit signal. But does that make the claimed peak brightness number meaningless on this TV? No, not entirely anyway. What that number indicates is that this TV is gonna be much brighter than most of the TVs that you can buy in its price bracket. It is gonna be much brighter than the QM7K, but not quite as bright as the QM9K. Depending on how it's set up, it may or may not be brighter than Sony's Bravia 9. Honestly, it probably won't. But also the thing I really want to talk about in a full video sometime, these peak brightness measurements from test patterns are quickly becoming next to useless outside of just gauging a TV's raw horsepower. Because at the end of the day, the AI processing doesn't give a hoot about a 10% window. It needs to see actual content so it can make power distribution decisions. No doubt, I'd love to see a better rating method and an actual rating standard, but for now, we've got to take these claims with a grain of salt and look at them as more general indicators of brightness capabilities. Okay, off the soapbox, side quest over, let's move on. In standard mode, the touch nothing performance, literally take it out of the box, plug it in, turn it on, and watch it. Now TCL, for its standard mode, has this clever setting that allows the TV to get bright when it thinks it's important to get bright, according to the content, but when you measure it, it's gonna measure pretty dim, and therefore, the power requirements are gonna be pretty low during the testing that Energy Star conducts when they evaluate these TVs. But all you need to do is turn up the brightness and it will blow you out of the room in standard mode, just like it will in any other mode. White balance in this standard mode and color errors predictably go through the roof with delta E's exceeding like 15. But standard mode isn't built for purists, so that's probably okay. I personally wouldn't watch this TV in standard mode. It's just a little too heavy on the blue, but I know a lot of folks like that. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper. Again, without any adjustments on my part to the filmmaker mode, the color accuracy was across the board absolutely stellar for me. I mean, truly impressive. Look at these charts. We're knocking on LG and Sony OLED's door type amazing. The white balance, though, it was very good, but not as good as I expected given the color accuracy I was seeing. Blues and cyans in particular got a little hot, especially in the brighter whites. But folks, after I took, no kidding, maybe 4 minutes to do a 2-point white balance, I got a delta E of under 1 for the 2-point white balance and an average error of under 3 for 20-point grayscale. In other words, the measurements were tremendous. This is the best that TCL has done in the accuracy department based on my experiences and my measurements of what is, admittedly, likely a golden sample. I mean, even the screen uniformity on this particular unit is awesome. The one thing that throws me off here and is a little bit disappointing is the EOTF tracking. This dip at the low end suggests crushed blacks. The thing is, I'm not seeing crushed blacks in real life viewing. This particular little dip that we see in this chart does not match what I'm seeing on the TV, and I can't square that away. So this seems like an outlier, but I went and checked some other reviews to see what their charts looked like, and there were dips in the low end, just not nearly as significant as mine. So I'm a little bit perplexed about this, especially considering once you get into the midtones, it is dead on accurate. I don't get it. Now, as long as we're talking about some of the few negatives around this TV, let's look at full field white to expose this vignetting that we get at the very edges. Now, keep in mind, most TVs have a black matrix border to avoid a much worse version of this. That's why they have the black border, to hide the fading that you naturally get at the edges of a panel. Well, TCL has figured out how to minimize that vignetting so it doesn't have to have a black border at all. And it is hard to see even when you're looking at it. But if you're looking for it, it'll pop up for you. Do many of you need to worry about that? Absolutely not. Most of you won't ever notice it, but I bring it up because if I don't, you'll roast me in the comments. Other than that, no red flags on this TV. No issues with 3:2 pull down, no excessive blooming, even off angle. In fact, the backlight system on this TV is a G. It is snappy and you really have to push it to show any dimming down or ramping up. This is the best backlighting system that I've seen in a TCL TV, at least until the QM8K came out, but that's for another day. And I pushed it too, okay? I tried to get this TV to do silly stuff, and I just haven't seen any issues pop up in my day-to-day viewing. If there ever was an issue with the backlighting on this TV, it seems to be gone now, or my sample just ain't doing it. Regardless, to trip this TV up, it's clear that you have to pull some very specific scenes to make it happen, which by the math means that it isn't gonna come up very often. Okay, so if you've skipped ahead, what you need to know is that this TV passes almost all the nerd measurements with flying colors. In real life viewing though, it's even better than the measurements would suggest. Talk about a bright, punchy, dazzling TV. I think I saw someone say that the QM8K wasn't as vibrant as the QM8 from last year. I could not disagree more. Last year's QM8 was great, but this one is even better. This TV's got the juice. And its excellent picture quality isn't just for the folks in the center seats. The off-angle viewing on this TV is about as good as I've ever seen from any LCD panel. I'm thinking of Samsung's particularly great off-angle viewing filter. But TCL's WHVA panel does a great job. So thank you, TCL, for helping to make better off-angle LCD performance a thing that we can expect down the road. Now, is it as good as OLED off-angle? No, nothing beats OLED for off-angle viewing. But if you compare this LCD TV to an LCD TV from 2 years ago, especially in TCL's lineup, it is so much better than it used to be. Medium good for what's available in the market, very good compared to most other LCD TVs. Frankly, guys, I think it's a slam dunk for daily TV with impressive cleanup of low quality content and tons of brightness for daytime viewing. It's a slam dunk for movie watching in bright or dark environments. It's a slam dunk for gaming with about 14 milliseconds of input lag at 4K 60 and just 5 milliseconds at 4K 120. There is this weird NVIDIA at 60 hertz VRR bug that is documented to exist, but I have no way to replicate that here. I also think it's probably going to get ironed out in a firmware update down the road. The only folks for whom this TV might not be a slam dunk is for folks who love motion smoothing. I feel like TCL still has a little bit to learn from Sony and LG when it comes to motion smoothing that doesn't just look flat out fake and which doesn't add too many artifacts to the picture. The other downer is the onboard audio. Guys, I tried. I gave it the old college try. Now, this 85-inch model does produce some pretty decent bass. Shocking at times, actually. And there were a couple of times when I experienced some surprising surround sound effects. But overall, the fidelity is just not awesome. The dialogue clarity is fine, so you don't need to run and get a soundbar. You'll be able to watch TV and hear what people are saying, but for an audio experience that matches up to the picture, I definitely get an external sound solution. In the end, folks, I sat and watched the QM8K for a good long time, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I don't know if the price has come down since its early days or what, but anyone calling the value of this TV into question needs to get their head checked, because $1,500 for a 65-inch TV with picture quality this good is insane value. You can get an 85-inch QM8K for what a 65-inch OLED is going to cost, and it still won't be as bright. I don't think I need to say a whole lot more, but let me know what you think down in the comments. And remember, before you buy, ask yourself, what would CalebRated? I love your faces, and I'll see you on the next one. Show me your nits. I am 14. Okay, back to the video.